Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a very special moment in the Australian automotive industry for the first ever live Drive Car of the Year Trophy Award presentation. My name is James Ward, Director of Content at drive.com.au, and today we are celebrating one of our winners, and it is a car that has truly made its mark on the urban driving scene. Now, give you a bit of background. This is the 20th year of the Drive Car of the Year Awards, and each year the Drive judges recognise a number of awards for the very best cars in market that stand out, not just in terms of value, but also their design, their technology, their practicality, and of course, the overall driving experience. But when it comes to the award today, which is the best urban car under $30,000, we look for some special criteria, and one clear winner rose to the top. And so it is my pleasure today, live, to announce the winner of the 2025 Drive Car of the Year Best Urban Car under $30,000 is the Chery Tiggo 4 Pro. Now, to accept this award, I would like to welcome Lewis Liu, the CEO of Chery Australia, who's joining us here today at a Chery dealer just outside of Sydney. Lewis.
Hi, James. How are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here is your award. Well done.
What a beautiful trophy it is.
It is.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
It is a tremendous achievement. Thank you so much. And
you.
why don't you tell us, while we've got everyone tuned in, what this award means for the team at Chery?
So, well, I think today is a big moment of a great pride for all of us. And I'm thrilled to receive such a prestigious Drive Car of the Year award for Tiggo 4. Wonderful recognition that reflects Chery's commitment to technology, innovation, and value. The Tiggo 4 is a testament to our vision of delivering a cutting-edge technology, stylish design, and comfort at an affordable price. And safety is also a priority for Chery. And the Tiggo 4 recently just achieved a 5-star ANCAP rating, ensuring that our vehicles made always the most strictly safety standards that offer the peace of mind to our customers. Since we launched the last October, we have sold over 4,000 Tiggo 4s all over Australia. And we proudly dedicate this award to our customers and partners for their truly support and trust. And a huge thank you, actually, for being on this wonderful journey with us. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, while we're here today, and to say thank you, of course, to Lewis, we want to learn a little bit more about why the Drive judges have chosen the Tiggo 4 Pro. And while I can tell you where we've come to it, we're actually going to spend some time now with Chery Australia's Chief Operating Officer, Lucas Harris, who can give us a little bit more insight into what the brand's goals are for the Tiggo 4 Pro. So, Lucas, congratulations for the award.
Thanks very much, James.
Have a go at that. That's a hefty thing to put on the bookshelves here at Chery.
It is heavy, isn't it?
Take a seat and let's talk value. Because for us, and again, for the award criteria that we look at, and the Drive judges, we go through 400 plus cars on the Australian new car market. We look at everything. We've got 19 categories that we cover. For this one key word stands out, and it's where the Tiggo 4 excelled. But we know buyers looking for the best urban car under $30,000, the word at the front of their mind is value. And that is where this thing has just excelled in every area. One of the things that we see, this is something that we know, it's cost of living is there, everything feels more expensive. The idea that you can get your hands on a brand new car for what is less than $25,000 is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Talk to us about value. Why is value so important to Chery as a brand?
Look, I think it's not just customers who are looking to buy cars under $30,000 that are interested in value, right? I think Australians across the board want to make sure they're getting essentially what they've paid for, and that they get a lot for it. And so, the Tiggo 4 is just one of our models that it does happen to be positioned at the entry point of the range, but like our other models, the amount of equipment and spec that's provided at that price point is hard to match.
One of those things that you've said with equipment as well, and again, that's another area where our judges were really impressed. Both the cars, there are two grades that you can have. they come stacked to the rafters with equipment, some stuff that you wouldn't really even expect on the car.
Yes.
But one of the things that did impress was the level of driver assistance technology. And as we know, this has become a common part of new cars. But localising that for Australia has become a crucial part of that design. Yep. Talk to us about Chery's local involvement here in developing even a car like the Tiggo 4.
Yeah, I think one of the, it depends how you look at whether it's good or not so good, but having so many brands leaving their R&D functions in Australia has meant there's a lot of really talented people in Australia for engineering and developing vehicles. And so as a result of that, we've got a lot of private companies now that are experts in their fields and developing cars, everything from electronics to drivetrain, suspension, all those sorts of things. And so, that's been really great for us to be able to partner with somebody who is an expert in the market with decades of experience to be able to give us real meaningful feedback so that we can go back to the factory and ensure that the cars are tuned and take into account conditions in Australia before they hit the market. And an example of that would be, you mentioned ADAS, and we do a lot of testing for that. But the other thing that we do is a lot of long-range testing. So the Tiggo 4 is no exception. It's done tens of thousands of kilometres in Australia before it's gone on sale, and that's in the outback and urban centres and the suburbs, in city areas, hot and cold weather, everything in between, and just to make sure that it does what it needs to do. And one of the things that through the process has stood out to me as quite unusual is that in every capital city in Australia, all the lane markings and road markings are different. The street signs are all different. 5 cities have 5 different environments. So it's those sorts of things that we're trying to adapt the car for to make sure that it really is suitable for the market.
I think that approach is really good because obviously I'm from Melbourne, we have trams, we're in Sydney, you don't have trams, you have really thin lanes in Sydney though, I will say.
Yes.
But the idea that you need to adapt for all of those environments and particularly for hot weather, you want to know, even in a car at this price point, your air conditioning is going to work regardless. You get heated seats in the top grade, so that's going to be great if you live in Melbourne. But one of the things obviously that you've spoken about with the ADAS, and that's the advanced driver assistance systems in the car, safety is a pretty big thing. Now, one of the elements of this car, again, impressed us. You get a centre airbag in a Tiggo 4 Pro. This is something that you weren't getting in the majority of new cars, let alone one at this price point. We've just seen in the last week or so, Tiggo 4 Pro has been awarded a 5-star ANCAP rating. Yes. Safety is obviously a very, very important thing. We know it's important to buyers. Talk us through that because you do your own crash testing, is that right? So
Chery actually has the largest R&D centre in all of Asia. And so it's not just crash testing, it's noise, harshness, vibration testing, powertrain testing, everything in between. But the safety element for us, and it's not just Tiggo 4, it's all of our models. We have the capability to crash test 5 cars a day for development. And to put that in perspective, when you do crash testing in Australia, the capacity is 1 test a week.
Yeah, wow.
So we can do 5 a day as a part of development, and that might sound really wasteful. And so we don't just crash the cars physically, we also have test sleds, which is basically a car on a sled that we can then test the airbag functionality without having to smash cars all of the time. And so it's all of those things, pedestrian testing, where we throw dummy legs and heads into the fronts of cars to make sure that they meet all of the requirements there as well. So it's a huge investment and a huge commitment to safety, not just for Tiggo 4, but across the range.
It's the sort of thing we're so used to seeing from the likes of Mercedes-Benz and Volvo who have been doing that. To see that happen at a value end of the market is really, it's reassuring for a start, but it's a really great thing to see. Now, one of the other areas, and again, we are looking at why we awarded this car the prize, because the thing that we know that consumers are looking for these days is the integration of technology with their car. And so the idea of wireless Apple CarPlay was a foreign concept to a lot of cars a couple of years ago. It became an optional extra. You've got that on the Tiggo 4 Pro. You've got on the Ultimate a 360-degree interactive surround view camera that I remember seeing for the first time only a few years ago in like a BMW 7 Series. So the amount of technology that you're wrapping into these to work with the buyers. Talk us through that, because obviously that handoff between your mobile technology and now your car is a pretty crucial consideration point for buyers.
Absolutely, and technology is not just about the creature comforts of wireless Apple CarPlay and 360 camera is very cool as well. Those are, particularly 360 cameras, are another safety function for the vehicle, but it's little bits of technology. My favourite thing is actually, if you sit in the rear seat, you'll notice every now and then that there's an orange light lights up on the door, and what that actually is telling the occupant that there's a car approaching.
The approach thing, yeah.
Don't open the door. I've never seen that in another vehicle before, but we've got it in our cars and in the rear seat. You see it in the front occasionally, but not the. So it's just little things like that I think really add the value proposition for bells and whistles and technology.
Well, that in particular, that's filtered down from high-end cars. The first time I saw that was in an Audi, and so you've got a completely different sort of perception of what you get to assume for a consumer now on a budget, looking for, whether it's a first car for a young buyer or the second car for a family, a relatively inexpensive vehicle to buy to have in that side of things. It is look, as a vehicle, it's great. But that's one part of the equation. When you're buying a car, you want to know you've got a 7-year warranty on this. And look, it's a question that we get asked: is brand X going to be here to look after that warranty in 7 years' time?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure all of Australia expected Holden to be here forever, and then they weren't, and then that's the question. Chery's sort of rebirth into Australia has been 2 years now. Yes. And as said in the introduction, you've had a pretty successful couple of years. Run us through that. What's happening now and what's next?
Yeah, it's been a fairly busy 2 years, as you can appreciate. Really, it's been about trying to set up the foundation so that we can be here long term, and we can give confidence not only to customers but also to our dealer partners as well, that we are going to be here well into the future to be able to support them and work together. And you only have to look at dealerships like where we're sitting now. It's an enormous investment, and so dealership operators and partners are very shrewd business people, and they don't gamble, right? So you don't get an investment like this if they thought it doesn't look very good. We've put a lot of investment ourselves in employing local talent. So we've in our office now have over 80 employees. I think across all our dealerships we'd be employing around 500 people totally. We've around $30 million worth of spare parts investment located in Melbourne right now. The story I like to tell to people is if 100 Tiggo 4s got in an accident and touched on all 4 corners today, we'll have the parts to fix them tomorrow.
Wow.
In stock in Melbourne, ready to go.
That's great.
And most places in the country can get parts overnight.
I think that layer of peace of mind then that you get, we've talked about that entry price, but the value kind of discussion doesn't just happen at purchase, it is through ownership. And look, there are, 80 Chery dealers around the country. You've got a 7-year warranty. This is something that buyers can go, I can feel confident with that purchase. Talking then about your customers. So again, we've got we are at a dealer. We've got people outside looking at cars. They will autograph one for them. They're throwing some floor mats, something fun like that. But the idea, someone's going to walk in here today. What are they looking for? What is the key thing? What is that relationship like now with a new customer for a Chery buyer?
Well, I think it's quite straightforward. They're looking. Firstly, is it fit for purpose, and can it do what I need it to do and get me around and help me take my kids to school or help me visit my parents, help me get to work, do the groceries, all those sorts of things? Can it do the job that I need it to do? What are the extras that it can give me? Does it have the wireless Apple CarPlay? Does it have an ambient light on the inside so I can feel a bit special, when I'm driving the car? And most importantly, does it fit within my budget and where I can afford to operate? I think secondary to that, and this is where it's our dealers and our network so important, is this dealer going to support me? And we're really lucky to have, I would say, probably a collection of the best retailers in Australia who are dedicated to customer experience. They're focused on what do they need to do long term. They don't want to just sell the car and move on. They want to have a long-term relationship. And so I think having such a big retail network and such professional retailers to then give that customer the peace of mind that, well, yes, actually, we're quite confident that the car itself is going to do everything you need it to do, and deliver a good value proposition, but actually we're here together with you, along the whole way as well, so that cars are mechanical things and things do go wrong. That's okay. It's about what are we going to do to deal with it and to help you when that happens.
So then to service that customer kind of concept and what they're looking for, let's break it down. One word to sum up the growth in demand, I guess, for Chery product. Because it's not just the Tiggo 4, you've got the 7 and 8, 9 is coming, there's the Emoda, there's the Emoda E5, full electric, we'll talk about that in a minute. But what is the word that could sum up your customers and what they're looking for from Chery?
I think it's as simple as value, to be honest with you. And value doesn't just mean how low is the price. Value means what am I getting and how far will my dollar get me?
Yeah.
And so all of our models across the range, the spec and the price point where they're delivered is really hard to beat.
Well, you've got obviously the 7-year warranty, you've got a cap price service program on everything. So you can go in, you can look to be buying a new car, you can know for the next 7 years what that's going to cost to own.
Yep.
And I reckon for buyers at the moment, that's the sort of thing you have to have that in the family spreadsheet. You have to know what that's going to be before you go in. So to win on that value equation, I think is brilliant.
Well, it's long-term transparency.
That's it. So going back a bit now, you've mentioned that obviously you're doing a lot of local development and testing to get the car right for Australia. How important then is Australia to Chery? We're a big country, but we're a relatively small market on a global scale. We are, I don't know if we're still, but it used to be a wonderful thing in our game. We'd say Australia is the most diverse and highly contested new car market in the world. 65 brands fighting for a bit over 1 million new car sales every year. Why Australia for Chery?
Well, Australia's obviously a great place.
It's a great place.
Great
right?
place.
I think that's the answer.
Place to be. It's hard to argue with.
Why not Australia?
But it's such a complicated market.
Yeah.
Being able to homologate vehicles and bring them here is no easy task. Being able to navigate all of the regulatory requirements to operate a business. You've got all of the very strict privacy requirements. So
right-hand drive?
Right-hand drive, I think, less of a consideration. And it is highly competitive, and the customers and the dealers are highly sophisticated. And so you've got all of these really challenging aspects of the market in as you said, a relatively small-sized market. It's a great place to learn. Whereas if you come and you make a few mistakes, then the whole company globally is still going to exist. And they're relatively easy to quickly learn and develop. And so that becomes a springboard for other highly developed markets. What's going really well here? How do we take that then to next markets? So we get more than our fair share when we ask for support from the factory. And proof of that is the local development and specification for cars that you don't have in other markets, but we can get it here. Which, on a global scale, you'd think, well, what right do we have to ask for it? But that's the level of importance the global business puts in the Australian market.
Yeah, great. One of the things that we saw in this year's Drive Car of the Year awards, we had 19 categories. 63% of our winners were either hybrid or fully electric.
Yes.
Now, Tiggo 4 we know is not. It's at that value proposition point of the market, but sustainability from manufacturer's perspective and obviously with legislation for emissions, but it's the other word that we know Australian buyers are looking at massively at the moment is hybrid. Chery hybrids. We know we've got the E5 or motor fully electric.
Yes.
Hybrids in a Tiggo range. Run through that.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of really exciting hybrids actually coming. So Tiggo 4 will receive a hybrid variant later this year.
Cool.
So we're quite excited to receive, and it's got a lot more power than the current car as well. So it's a bit more sporty, a bit more zippy to drive. What I'm really excited about is our super hybrid, which we'll see in the Tiggo 7 and Tiggo 8 later in the year as well. It's plug-in hybrid technology reimagined.
Yeah.
And I think the level of technology and the level of driving performance and ability of those vehicles is going to be hard to compete with. So maybe I've let the cat out of the bag a little bit, and people will be frantically worrying how they're going to compete.
The record. Like I'm not, we're not media or anything like that. Just write that down.
But it's really exciting, and I've had the privilege of driving quite a few of those cars over a length of time, and I think it's going to be a game changer for us to be able to offer those products.
It's one of those things. Australia is a really unique market for that, because obviously series hybrids, as we know, which are like we're all experienced with Toyota Camry taxis and things, so that's what we're looking at for Tiggo 4. But then the plug-in side of things, and we're seeing that whole part of the market really start to expand, where you're now getting solid three-figure range out of the electric battery, plus having the petrol engine there as a backup. The idea of moving to a plug-in, so you're full electric to drive around and do your commuting around the streets during the week, but then can go further because we are a country of further distances.
Yeah.
It really is a good chance for Australia. One of the, I guess, interesting things too, and we'll do a little spruik here. We've actually got a TV series this weekend that you can watch that explains hybrids. So it's a really interesting time. It's 25 years of hybrids in market at the moment. We know people are still trying to learn and work out what it is for them. But to hear that some of even the newer brands are looking at this going, this is where we're going for that side of things. Let's talk about the future. We've got where we are now with the value proposition. You've got that hybrid question being answered soon. How long until we see Chery as a household name? And for any international viewers here, Chery ripe, right? Australia, we love our cherries here. Yeah. Can you get in on that? When are we going to put Chery in the same context as Toyota at the top? Maybe one of Kia and Hyundai. They were sort of in this position a few years ago. Is this where you want Chery to be?
Well, look, I think any car company that says that they don't want to be a household name is probably telling you a lie.
Touché.
The reality is we're rapidly getting there at a fast pace. Just last month we delivered, our first month to deliver 2,000 vehicles to new homes in a single month, and that is largely to retail mum and dad and first cars and last cars and those sorts of things. We don't play in that fleet space a lot, and so already we're seeing a rapid uptake by Australians of the brand and of the vehicles, which is makes us feel really proud when that occurs. And I won't make any predictions about where the volume will be, because almost always my predictions are wrong. But it's certainly, the trajectory is very strong, and we've been the fastest growing car brand in Australia now for probably 12 months, month on month. So
yeah, we see that, and it is really interesting to watch. Us from a media perspective, we look at the data, all the time, not just each month as the reports come out. It has been a fast charge to see that you've got a lot of change coming, and to see now, like we are asked a lot through radio, through readers and viewers, what car should I get, particularly for young drivers? It is a constant question, and our standard response is buy the safest car you can afford. And now, when you've got a 5-star ANCAP rated car that is from, was it $23,990 drive away?
Yep,
so under $24,000 for, looking at the wheels here, like the red one here. That's a high-spec car that's got some solid safety credentials. It's got all the right things. It's the right shape and size. This is a perfect, first car driver. So I think you've done well in the last couple of years, and to have an award there, this is something that we take very seriously, and it is great to be able to have a conversation like this. So before we wrap up, let's kind of look again. We're crystal balling this. Chery's mission statement for the future. We've talked about your customers, the one word, value. That's who they are. What is Chery's mission statement for the future, for the next 5, 10?
Well, 5 or 10's a long way away when you change so quickly.
It's like dog years in the car market at the moment. So
one of the internal corporate sayings that really resonates with me, and that our international company often uses, in somewhere for somewhere. And what that means is that we don't just come to a market to just sell cars. It's how can we come to a market and really be in the market for the market. That is employing local experts, having local partners, and enlisting local businesses for marketing agencies or engineering development and those sorts of things, making sure that when we're with the customer, we're there with them for a long time and every part of the way. Car's such an important thing to people. Forget about the investment that you have to outlay to buy one in the first place, but Australia's a big country. You need cars to get around and do your normal
Car
life.
culture is still strong here. Like, we do love our cars.
And so it's, I think the main thing for us is we want to be integrated with the community and with the market. And, that's maybe a little bit corny thing to say, but it's sincere. And so everything that we're doing is how do we do it for the long term, and how do we do it for the good and for the benefit of our customers and our partners and our dealers, and how do we all get that to gel and work together for a long time.
Brilliant. Well, Lucas, congratulations
Thank you very
again.
much.
Well done. Your wonderful award to
Excellent,
take home. For everyone who's been watching, thank you so much for your time and for joining us here on our first ever live Drive Car of the Year Trophy Award presentation, live from Chullora, just outside of Sydney. If there's anything that you want to know more about the Chery Tiggo 4 Pro or the 19 categories of the 2025 Drive Car of the Year Awards, head over to the Car of the Year hub at drive.com.au. You can, of course, catch us on TV and bits and pieces. We've got all sorts of stuff this weekend. Congratulations again for the trophy. Well done. Thank you. And thank you all, the team at Chery, for hosting us. And thank you all for watching.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.